Brent Smith from Shinedown was saying. I'm sure it was really touching. We heard his song loud and clear, though.
Is this thing working? Can you hear me too? Hi, my name's Jim Abbott. I'm with the Orlando Sentinel. I write about music for the Sentinel, and I'm pleased to be here to go all James Lipton on Steve Robertson here today and talk a little about his career. That was quite a video. Look at that. That was pretty cool.
It was pretty touching. I want to touch myself.
Well, for those of you, I'm sure everybody's pretty much aware, but Steve, not only in addition to having a national reputation breaking bands, also has been an integral force in the Orlando music scene for better than 20 years now, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and so, folks that are in town here really owe him a debt because he does come out and offer feedback to bands, he was doing it on the way over here, chatting with somebody, and so that's a
unsolicited advice. She didn't ask me, "Hey, what do you think?" I was like, "Hey,
that's a wonderful resource. That's a wonderful resource, absolutely, seriously." So anyway, we saw some of this, but I wanted to start out by asking you how you get a job like this. It's a pretty good job. You started on radio.
I started on radio. There's a lot of bands here. I recognize a lot of musicians. Is anybody interested in like the A&R or promotion side of things here in the business? And yeah. So anyway, yeah, people ask me that a lot. How can I get an A&R gig or at a label? And unfortunately, right now, the business has shrunk so much. I assume everybody in this room has probably read at least one article about how bad it is. Media is changing. But anyway, we get into that later. The main point.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
How depressing all that shit is. But it's. In order to get an A&R gig, you just have to put yourself in a position to develop a track record of having ears for bands that go on to bigger and better things and finding them early. And I was in a position where WJRR here in Orlando, 101.1 for those who don't live here, I was programmed an alternative rock station in the mid-90s. What could have been a more exciting thing than to start programming alternative rock in '93, just as Nirvana was busting wide open and Smashing Pumpkins' Siamese Dream came out and all these amazing classic records. And I just happened to be in the right place at the right time and got demos from the right bands and picked the right songs that I thought were hits and played them. So that's how I did it, but I tell other people you can do it by doing what Jim does. You can be a writer and champion the right bands and really make a lot of noise for them, and or become a manager and manage the right bands and have the right stable and build value in you as a tastemaker. And it's so valuable to record labels to have somebody that they can have faith knows what's going on and can find the next hit for them.
Yeah, it's cool. And tell me how you made the transition from radio to the record label side. And as part of that, tell me a little bit about what it was like being in radio at that time, because radio at that time had a certain significant influence in how bands got connected with people that isn't exactly the same today.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing what's happened in such a short amount of time. It was pre-internet or very, very beginning of the internet, and it was still 99% of kids through adults got their new music fix from radio. And it was, and so there was this system set up where labels had this giant fat pipe of radio and formats that they would shove their product through, and then the masses would hear it. And it was a neat little system. Well, that's all been obliterated. Radio is still a very powerful medium, and you're still going to sell most of your records and concert tickets and t-shirts if you have airplay. So it's not to say that radio has become a worthless medium, it's just become so highly fragmented. So what was the question?
Oh, and I guess that was a main point I wanted to get at. And the other was, how did you make the transition? I mean, how did you end up, obviously they saw you had good ears for bands and stuff in Atlantic. I mean, how did you ever make that transition?
I played Collective Soul, sent me their demo. They sent their full album, and actually the artwork was so bad on it, I was like, this guys are screwballs, because it was like, I don't know if you know the album cover, it's like a piece of clip art that you find in any clip art anywhere, and I was like, that's so cheesy, I have to listen to these guys. So, and I went through their album and I heard Shine, and I liked that riff, and I was like, this kind of sounds like a hit, and it wasn't on a major label, it wasn't on a label at all, it was just Ed Rowland he had already shopped his stuff to the labels, and everybody passed, I guess. And so his last ditch attempt for his career was to send out his demo that he made in his basement of this album, and he hired an independent promotion person to push it. And they did their job. They pointed it out to me. Said, "Hey, Collective Soul, band out of Atlanta. You might want to check it out." Listened, played Shine, and immediately the phone started ringing. And that's another big difference, is because everybody was listening and nobody was on MySpace. You know, it was really easy to gauge when something had a spark because people were picking up the phone. And so played that. It blew up. Set up a showcase for Atlantic Records. They showed a lot of interest. They came down, sold out Collective Soul show. They signed him on the spot. And the following year, Shine became the #1 song of the year. It was #1 at all the rock formats. It went #1 at Top 40. And so a lot of the label people that I talked to, the promotion people, were like, "Wow, you found that song out of nowhere. You should think about doing A&R." And I was like, "Yeah, I probably should, because I'm not making very much money right now." And so I would then actively was looking, not only for myself, but I mean, my job is to find hit songs for my radio station to make it compelling for listeners and get ratings up. So then the following year was 783, local band, sent me their album, and I heard Cumbersome, which by comparison was a terrible sounding demo. The demo really sounded bad, but something about it I liked.